Yeah, now we are back. Ne? We are back. If you are not here or you are a little bit far, please come back and then we continue with our class. All right. Uh-huh. All right. We are saying that endocrine system. What is the word endocrine mean? The word endocrine comes from, just a moment. Um, okay. The word endocrine comes from the word endo, which means inside. Crine comes from word crinis, which means secretion. So it means that this system, remember, system is the collection of uh, organs. Yes, they must work together, they must interact so that it, yeah, to bring about that system. So it means that this system is dealing with the secretion of substance, and these substances are within the body. So the endocrine system, these are some of the glands which are involved in the endocrine system. This endocrine system is divided into two. The first one, let me explain it. Just a moment. Yes, let me explain it. The endocrine system is divided into two. Into two glands. We have what called the endocrine glands and then the exocrine glands. So the endocrine glands, yes, sometimes we call them ductless glands. Why do we call them ductless glands? A duct is a tube, meaning that they are tubeless. These are glands which have no tubes, so we call them endocrine glands, ductless glands. Then we have the exocrine glands. These ones, they have ducts. They have the tubes. What do they use the tube for? And why do these ones don't have the ducts? Why don't they have the tubes? It means that these ones, whatever they secrete, whatever they produce, whatever they secrete, is being transported by blood. So it uses the blood stream to transport whatever it has produced to a target, the target organ. While these ones, they have the tubes, they use their tubes to release where they want them to be released. Meaning that no blood involved. So examples here, you can talk about the hypophysis, the pituitary gland, hypophysis, hypothalamus, thalamus. You can talk about ovaries, ovaries. You can talk about the testes, testes. Let me make them plural. Testes, yes. While here, the exocrine glands, in most cases, the exocrine glands, they produce what you call enzymes. So it's more of the digestion and mucus. They usually produce what you call enzymes and mucus. An example is the salivary gland. The second one is you can talk about the pancreas. By the way, even here, the pancreas is an example.
So,
Yes.
how are you able to tell apart the organs that are endocrine gland and exocrine gland?
Don't worry, I'm going to show you. I'm just doing a simple. Then after that, we go back to, and then I show you.
Okay.
Yes. So these glands, basically, let me just link to that. The organs which are linked to the digestive system, in most cases, they are exocrine glands. While the organs which produce hormones, they are endocrine glands. So let me show you how the exocrine look like. The exocrine gland, it has a tube. It has this duct, which is called a duct. While the endocrine gland, they are ductless. They don't have the neck. Meaning that when they release their substances, they're gonna go to the blood stream. While this one, the saliva is being produced where, being released where it is needed. For example, your saliva will go direct to the mouth. There is no blood which is gonna bring that saliva. So because of the ducts, the saliva gland will produce the saliva, and then now it's gonna come through these ducts. So we call them duct glands. Let's go back to our distinction material book. We're saying that endocrine system is a collection of glands that produce hormones that regulates the metabolism, growth, development, tissue, sexual functions, reproduction, sleep, all this. Guys, you don't just do things because you want to do them. There is a system which is involved to help you do this. Just by a mistake that you are not falling asleep, or you are sleeping too much, you are moody. It's not just by a mistake, only because you are. No, there are some hormones which are responsible for that. By a mistake that you like too much boys, you like too much girls, too many girls, you love them too much. There are hormones which are responsible for that. There are hormones which are responsible for that. It's not by mistake that when you are too active, there are hormones which are responsible for that. It's not by mistake that you are tall or short or medium. There are hormones which are responsible for that. So someone is going to ask me, what about the genetics? Yes, the genetics work together with the hormones. All right. Endocrine glands. So this system is divided into two. We say that endocrine glands. We call them ductless glands. You see them. Once they produce their things, it goes direct into the blood stream. And then the blood will take those hormones where they are needed. For example, the brain will produce a FSH. You know, all of us, we know FSH, follicle stimulating hormone, or luteinizing hormone from our reproduction. But where do they work? They work in the ovary. You see? Meaning that how far is from the brain, the hypophysis or the pituitary gland, to the ovaries? The distance is big. So how are these hormones being transmitted? They are being transported or transmitted through the blood. So the glands which produce that, because they don't have a duct, we call them endocrine glands. Yes. So basically those glands are dealing with hormones. So they release the things directly into the bloodstream. We have the exocrine gland. We say that they release these chemicals, substances through the ducts to outside the body, or that is, if it is outside body, we can talk about the sweat. Sweat is released out. Where does it come from? You don't know, but we will see the structure of the skin and we see where the sweat is coming from. And then, or into another surface within the body, meaning that they're gonna use this duct to reach where they want to. So hormones are organic compounds. They can ask you this question. Organic compounds, protein in nature, and they are messenger. They have to convey the message the body wants. And these hormones are not needed in large amounts. They are needed in small amounts, because if there is too much of them, it's going to be another problem. So how do these hormones work? The cell will secrete the hormone. If this is the endocrine, remember, because we say that endocrines are being dealt with the hormones are being dealt with the endocrine glands. So it will secrete the hormone. That chemical is just a chemical, guys. Just a chemical. It is going to be released in the bloodstream. The blood will move. As it's moving, it will be moving with these chemicals, which call the hormones. And then the moment they find a target organ, it must bind. However much you have 1,000 keys, there will be only one key which will open the door. So however much you have a lot of hormones, and these hormones, there is a lot of cells, they will only bind themselves if it fits to bind there. You see? So we call them target organs. So you see that the blood is helping this hormone to be transported from one point to another. Yes. Then we go to the next one. We are saying that now let's look at this structure. Now this one is going to come. This one comes, ne? This one comes. How do they bring it? Begala. You see? So it means that you have to know the location. The first point which you need to know is to know the location of these glands. We know about the hypothalamus from our brain, structure of the brain. Okay, that is the first point. We have ever heard about the hypophysis or the pituitary gland. We know it from the brain. So we know the position of the hypothalamus. We know the position of the pituitary gland. You have to know, now we have the one which is found in the neck. This is the first one. It's a new one to be introduced. Yes. So this one is called the thyroid gland. The thyroid gland, meaning that this is the first new gland we need to know. We have never heard about it. The second gland, we know about the pancreas. We know about the pancreas. So you cannot say that you have never heard about the pancreas. Yes. So the pancreas, we studied it in grade 11. So that is the pancreas. It looks like a banana or a leaf, whatever you want to say. So we have another one which we call the adrenal gland. We talked about you in emergency situation, you produce a hormone called adrenaline. Yes, you produce a hormone called adrenaline. It is being produced by adrenal gland. So this is the next one I think you have never heard about. So the second one, so you need to know where it is located also. Then we have another gland called the ovary. Don't tell me that you don't know it unless you're not a lady. Yes, ovary, you know it. And then we have another one called the testis. Don't tell me that you don't know it unless you're not a man. So the testis, we know. The ovaries, we know. The pancreas, we know. The hypothalamus, we know. The hypophysis, we know. The only two glands which we don't know, which we don't know now, we need to know them, is the thyroid gland in the neck, and then the adrenal gland on the top of the kidney. On the top of the kidney. Let me check. Someone has sent me a message. Tigan, why are you crying? All right. So, please, we need to know this. We need to know this. Let's go again. The first one is the hypothalamus. The second one, you check the way it is pituitary gland. The third one in the neck is the thyroid gland. The one on the top of the kidney is called the adrenal gland. The one which looks like just below the stomach is called the pancreas. And then the one which is just below, I always tell people that I always tell people that it's not personal. I always tell people that you move with the male and the female reproductive system in your face, but you don't know and you fail it. How can you fail it? The top one are the ovary, while the lower ones are the testes. It is true. Let's find out so that you don't forget this. I don't want you to forget this. Let me see your face. Let me see your face. Your face looks like this. Yeah? You say that you have the eyes. Okay, I also accept. You have the what? You have the eyes. Yes. And then you have the nose. Remember, the nose has two holes, isn't it? Yes, you have the nose. Some of you have a long nose, ne? You have a long nose. You have a long nose, ne? You have a long nose. And then remember, this is your face. Don't you think this is ovary? And then these are testes. And then this is, I don't know. Yeah, that's you, man. That's you. So, you know that things are like that. So, when you look at someone's face, oh, you remember the eyes are ovary, the lower ones are what? A testis. If you check the nose is too long, you think about it. If you check the nose is too short, you think about it. I'm not saying it. I didn't say anything, guys. So we said the top one is ovary. The lower ones are testes. So please don't mess them up. Guys, unmute and you tell me. Everyone must unmute and then you tell me.
Number 1 is the pituitary gland. Number
Pituitary
2,
gland. Number 2,
2 is the thyroid gland.
thyroid gland. Number 3,
3 is the pancreas, and number 4 is the adrenal gland.
adrenal gland. You people. And then this one.
Which one? That's the
This
hypothalamus.
Hypothalamus. All right. Okay, guys. I think now, you see now? Now, the second step, after knowing where are they located, now we know. Let me clear it up. We know the locations. Now we need to know the function of each hormone. We need to know the function of each hormone. This one is called, please don't call it, ne? I'm just calling it. It's called a master gland. Don't call it, ne? Why? Because it produces a number of hormones, ne? Which controls. So we call it the master gland. The master gland. Just guys, just 1 second. That is the pituitary gland. Okay. Okay, guys, sorry for the that. Okay, number 2. So we need to know that the pituitary gland produce the pituitary gland produces GH, which called the growth hormone, thyroid stimulating hormone, follicle stimulating hormone, luteinizing hormone. You need to know the hormones produced by that gland. You need to know what is the function of each hormone. You need to know the hormone produced by that gland. You need to know the function of each hormone. This one, hypothalamus produces ADH, antidiuretic hormone. The thyroid gland produces thyroxine. The adrenal gland produces adrenaline and aldosterone. Aldosterone, aldosterone, aldosterone. Then the pancreas produces glucagon and insulin. Glucagon and insulin. Then the ovary produces estrogen and progesterone. These ones we know. The testes produce testosterone. So now let me talk about the function of each. Let me start with the testes because everyone knows the testes. We know the functions. Testes, they produce testosterone. What is the function of the testosterone? We said that testosterone is responsible for secondary sexual characteristics. The characteristics which show that you are a man. Yes. I heard that there are some people who inject themselves so that they become Superman, themselves with testosterone so that they become Superman. I don't know. Yeah, but if you inject yourself with the testosterone, you're going to have characteristics of a man. And if you're a man and you're injecting yourself with the testosterone, it means that you're going to have more characteristics of a man. So it's responsible for secondary sexual characteristics in male. Number two, it's also responsible for stimulation of the what? Of the maturation of the sperms. Yes, the sperms are connected to testosterone. Then we have the estrogen. We have the estrogen. Estrogen is responsible for secondary sexual characteristics in females. Big boobs, big shape, big what, soft voice, all that is secondary sexual characteristics. Characteristics which show that don't tamper with sex. If you tamper with it, what happens? What happens? You're going to become pregnant. Good. Yes. Please, those are the secondary sexual characteristics. Remember, another function of estrogen from reproduction, we say that it is responsible for preparing the uterus for implantation by making it thick, vesicular, and glandular. By making it thick, vesicular, and glandular. That is estrogen. Then progesterone, it maintains pregnancy by making the endometrium more, that word must be there, more thicker, more vesicular, and more glandular. So it promotes it, the thickening, meaning that it increases the what? The thickening. So we have talked about this. We have talked about this. So we have talked about this. You understand? And then we have talked about the puberty. Then we go to the next hormone. I will talk about this one more when we go to the negative feedback mechanism, but pancreas produces glucagon. Glucagon, if you don't have energy, let me start with insulin. When you eat too much, if you make a lot of money, you put some money in the bank. So when you put it in the bank, it is stored. It is in storage form. When you don't have money, cash, what do? You go to the bank, you get the money. So that's the function of glucagon and insulin. When you eat, you get a lot of glucose. That glucose is not going to be used, all of it. Some is converted into glycogen and stored. You understand? So insulin is the one which facilitates that. When you don't have energy, yes, you have not eaten. So what the body does, the glucagon will convert the glycogen back to glucose, and then you have energy again. So we're going to look at it as the negative feedback mechanism. Then you have adrenaline. This one is for emergence. Emergence. You have to be, you talk about when you see something scaring you, you have to prepare yourself for emergency. Your eyes, they dilate, the blood is pumped to the organs like the heart, the muscles, the skin will be drained, no blood because we don't need it. You sweat too much. So all that is as a result of the heartbeat increases, you breathe, you breathe deeply. So you see that all that is adrenaline. So that's the function of, you see, heartbeat, blood pressure increases. You see, glycogen is converted to glucose so that now you have more glucose to fight. The skeletal muscles tone, they become stiff. You are ready to fight. Yes, so that is as a result of what? Adrenaline. And then aldosterone is for salt. Aldosterone is for salt. So if it is for salt, aldosterone is responsible for salt. So if it is for salt, some people, they eat too much salt. It's supposed to be excreted out, man. If you eat too much, why? Watch out. So that is, we're going to look at it as a negative feedback mechanism, also this one. So the first one, you're going to look at this one. The second one, we're going to look at that one. Then the thyroxine, the thyroid gland. The thyroid gland is responsible for production of thyroxine. Thyroxine is basically responsible for normal functioning of the heart, the metabolic rate. Yes, the normal functioning of what? Of the heart. Basically, it brings about absorption of oxygen in the cells. So it brings about the normal functioning of the metabolic reactions. So we call it what? We call it aldosterone. Sorry, we call it thyroxine. So that's what we are saying here, that it controls the basic metabolic rate, the basic metabolic rate. So if you are weak, you are not active, it could be because of the thyroxine. Oxygen is not being absorbed from the body. Now, who is that talking with us?
Okay.
Fine, I've done the mute. All right. So we go to the next one. Let me start with the hypothalamus. Hypothalamus is responsible for production of ADH. ADH. ADH is antidiuretic hormone. Antidiuretic hormone is responsible for maintaining the amount of water in the blood. Yes. How much water? If you are dehydrated, is because of ADH. If you are not dehydrated, is also because of ADH. So we're going to look at it as the negative feedback mechanism of ADH. Yes, that's the negative feedback mechanism of water in the blood. Lastly, is the thyroid gland. Growth hormone is obvious. It's responsible for growth. Thyroid stimulating hormone is also obvious. Stimulates the thyroid gland. You see, thyroid stimulating hormone, a hormone which stimulates the thyroid gland. Produce what? To produce thyroxine. You see, it's obvious also. FSH is also obvious. Hormone that stimulates the Graafian follicle, produce the ovum. It's also simple.
Sir,
Yes.
what is oxytocin?
Where is what?
Oxytocin.
We don't talk about it here.
Okay.
Yes. And then now you have luteinizing hormone. We also know that it triggers ovulation and also stimulates the conversion of the empty Graafian follicle to corpus luteum. So all these hormones, you know them. These hormones, you know them. These hormones, you know them. So you need to know this diagram. You need to have it by heart. This diagram, you need to know it so that you are able to, you see this? This is a summary of everything I've talked about. Controls the amount of water in the body. You see, amount of water in the body is for emergence. We talked about it. This regulates the amount of salt. We talked about it. So if you want to remember, okay, I'll show you how you can remember. Aldo, which means it comes from the word salt. Okay, I'll show you how you can remember them afterwards. Then estrogen, we know it, that is thickening of the endometrium. And then we know progesterone, that is to make the endometrium more thicker. That's why we say promotes thickening, more thicker. Yes, testosterone, secondary sexual characteristics, and also stimulates the maturation of the sperms. Then the pancreas, we say it's glucagon, and the insulin. This one is linked to blood sugar. If you are suffering from diabetes, it's because of this. Then thyroxine, we say that it controls the metabolic rate. If you're more active and stuff like that, it's because of the thyroid gland. We're gonna see that if you don't, this is it brings about there's a situation when the thyroid gland enlarges because you don't have enough iodine in the body. So it will lead to a condition called goiter. Yes, I don't know how we pronounce it, goitera or goiter, I don't know. Yes, but we pronounce it as goiter. Okay, they're saying that then the hypophysis or pituitary gland is growth hormone. We know that controls growth. Thyroid stimulating hormone, the same story. This hormone stimulates the thyroid gland to produce thyroxine. Follicle stimulating hormone, the same story. Hormone that stimulates the Graafian follicle to develop. And then luteinizing hormone triggers ovulation and also stimulates the development of corpus luteum. Prolactin, prolactin. I didn't talk about prolactin. Oh, see, I didn't talk about it. I don't know. Prolactin is for milk. Prolactin. When you say lactose, sugar in the milk, lactogen. You see, lactogen. You have ever bought this thing from ShopRite? Lactogen, that milk, isn't it? So whenever you say lactin is milk, we are talking about milk. So prolactin is a hormone which stimulates the mammary gland to produce milk. So, guys, you have to know that. All right. So now it means that we can be able to answer this. We can be able, we say that what is A? What is A, guys? Unmute and tell me the answers.
The pituitary gland.
Pituitary gland. What is B?
Thyroid gland.
Thyroid gland.
What is C?
Adrenal gland.
Adrenal gland. Great. What is D?
Pancreas.
The pancreas. Excellent. So here there are some questions. Explain. Okay. Let's do some questions here maybe. What are they saying now? Study the diagram below and answer the question that follows. A hormone secreted by one of the glands that labeled A to ED has the following effect. Heartbeat increase, vasoconstriction, meaning that the blood vessel in the skin and the gut is reduced, and then dilates the pupil. So give the letter and the name of the gland that secretes this hormone. Yes. Tanaki. Yes, Tanaki. Yes, I see your hand up. Sikonye. Tanaka. Yes, talk. We're not Tanaka. You're just raising the hand and you are not talking. So, guys, what's the answer?
Let's see. The adrenal gland.
Yes, adrenal gland. Remember that this hormone is adrenaline. It's the one which causes this. Ne? So it means that it's D. It's D. You didn't say D. It's C.
No, I said C.
Oh, yeah, C, adrenal gland. Thank you so much. Then they're saying that when Tanaka, you're just raising up the hand when they have not even asked the question. Saying that explain the significance of each of the following. Heartbeat increases. What is the function of the heartbeat increase during the situation of emergency?
So I don't understand the question.
Explain the significance of each of the following. What is the importance? When the adrenaline has been released in the body, the heartbeat will increase. Why should the heartbeat increase? And remember, adrenaline only increases when there is an emergency. Why should you have an increased heartbeat? Who knows?
Isn't it because it prepares you?
You can talk.
I don't know. I'm just like trying.
M.SAID, isn't it?
Okay.
Isn't it like to towards this to send blood, like more blood to the important organs, so the muscles and the heart can be like have increased blood flow for a fight or for you to run away.
Increase what?
Blood flow to the muscles and organs.
Yeah, blood flow to the muscles and organs. Yes. Thank you so much, Tabo. Yeah, basically it increases. Let me make it more scientific. When the heartbeat increases, the blood flow will also what? Increase to the muscles. But what is the essence of this blood to flow to the muscles and the brain and stuff? It's because the blood will contain the glucose, you see? Number two will also contain the oxygen, you see? So since the oxygen is there, remember oxygen is responsible for respiration. So meaning that more energy is going to be produced. And then you are ready to fight or to take off, flight. You run away. You can't just run away when you don't have energy. So the heart has to pump so that more oxygen is pumped into the muscles. And then remember, when the respiration is taking place, carbon dioxide accumulates. So that also now the blood can take the carbon dioxide which has accumulated in the muscles to the lungs. I hope I'm clear there. Then what is the essence of the pupil to dilate? Why? If someone tells you that someone has died, what is the first impression you're going to have? Are you sure? If you will check your eyes, they open like a cat's eyes in the dark. The pupil will be very big, allowing more light to enter so that you are able to see clearly of what they are talking about. When you say lion coming, you get scared, adrenaline increases, you open your eyes to confirm. Are you sure? Is it a lion coming to me? Is it coming to me or is going somewhere else? You see the way how you are thinking, blood is pumped into the brain. You think very much. And then the eyes, you open them very well so that you are able to see clearly, to see that, oh, is coming. That's why the pupil will dilate so that more light will enter the eye and you are able to see clearly. Is it clear? Then we
Yes,
go
sir.
to the explain the relationship between the gland A and the gland A. What is gland A? Gland A, that is the explain the relationship between gland A and kidney on a hot object. Sorry, on a hot day. So gland A is what? Gland A is what? Is the pituitary
Pituitary
gland.
gland.
Yes. But now, how is the pituitary gland linked to hot day? We go back. We go back here. Remember, we said that ADH controls the concentration of water in the blood. In a hot day, you sweat too much, meaning that ADH is either going to be released or is going to be less released. More released or less released. So we're going to look at it when you go to the skin. But how is that gland A linked to that?
So it's because it controls reabsorption
Or the absorption of water.
of water in the kidneys.
But don't forget that gland A is a pituitary gland. Let's go back and confirm. How is that now? Don't forget that gland A is a pituitary gland. It's not hypothalamus.
Mama.
It's not hypothalamus. Guys, if you want to talk to your mama, make sure that you mute. So it's hypothalamus. Let me explain this. Gland A is a pituitary gland, while hypothalamus is the one which produces ADH. The pituitary gland or hypophysis stores the ADH. Do you hear me? Hypothalamus produces ADH. But when it produces it, it is being stored in the pituitary gland. So it's the pituitary gland to release this into the blood. If the blood, more water is needed or less water is needed. So we will ask you that. People always confuse it. Check here. Check here. Let me just show you this, what I'm saying. Look. Yes. You see here, where is it? They talk about the hypothalamus. Still, they did not talk about the pituitary gland. But what happens is the hypothalamus will secrete this ADH and stores it into the pituitary gland. That's why now on this question, they have brought that to ask you whether, where am I? They have brought it here, ask you those questions. Why are they talking about gland? Still it is ADH, but it's just being stored there. But what produces that ADH? It is the hypothalamus. So you guys, you see, gland A is a pituitary gland, releases ADH. You see, when the water level is, so we're gonna look at it that into details. All right, let's look at the negative feedback mechanism. We only have 30 minutes to finish this. When we come to negative feedback mechanism, I'm going to give you different techniques how you can master this. A negative feedback mechanism is the mechanism which operates in a human body to detect the changes or the imbalances in the internal environment and restores the balance. And restores the what? Them to balance. So now if you look at this, let me give you an example. Because why do we use the word negative feedback mechanism? Let me give you an example. Negative feedback mechanism is like this. So now you are from here, from A, you are going to Johannesburg. You're going to Johannesburg, which is B. And then now you are going like this. Point C. It's fine. So you are going to a direction. Okay. Let me just point. You're supposed to go to point C. Ne? Unfortunately, you went to point B, meaning that now you are lost. You are lost. If I continue going to this direction to point D, it means that I'll be becoming more lost. So it becomes positive feedback mechanism, meaning that you become more worse. You are sick. You become more sick, meaning that is a positive. So what do? I take medication. When I take medication, I go back to normal. So the medication will help me to go back to normal. You see that this one was going like this, but this one is in a negative direction. Therefore, it becomes a negative feedback. So if I continue going to that, it is in the same direction as the first one. So it becomes positive. You see? So we don't talk about positive feedback mechanism. We talk about negative feedback mechanism. Why? Because the negative feedback mechanism will oppose the direction. It will oppose the direction. So I said that we are only remaining with 30 minutes, meaning that by 1 o'clock, the lesson will be done. So we are saying that positive feedback mechanism, it is continuing. While the negative feedback mechanism, it is just the what? The reverse. All right. So negative feedback mechanism is the mechanism which restores what was imbalanced back to balance. The imbalances are brought back to balance. For example, it's too hot. It's too hot. You feel uncomfortable. What do? What you do, bring back your normal situation is a negative feedback mechanism. You go swim, you wherever, you take a cold drink, you are cooling yourself back to normal. It's a negative feedback mechanism. But if now you are hot, you are feeling uncomfortable, now you put on you switch on the heater. What is that? You're becoming more worse. So it becomes a positive feedback mechanism. So we only talk about the negative feedback mechanism so that we bring our situation back to normal. When you restore whatever you have restored, we want to say that you have kept the internal environment, you have kept whatever you are keeping constant. So in this topic, we shall say that you have done what called a homeostasis. If it comes, for example, the amount of sugar in the body is too much, then the hormones are supposed to work so that it brings back to normal. And then now it means that that mechanism of bring it back to normal is a negative feedback mechanism. The situation of bring it back to normal is homeostasis because now you have kept the internal environment constant. Okay, so let's continue. So this is what you need to know. Let's just get an example. TSH. The first example is thyroxine. We're going to use thyroxine as the first example. This is normal. What you need to know, guys, look at this because we're going to look at this. We're going to use the same procedure. Normal level of thyroxine in the body. I need to know which gland produces thyroxine. I need to know about that. If the first step is saying the level of thyroxine has increased, it means that it has increased more than normal. Guys, the last step must always say the level of thyroxine has decreased. If this was glucose, and then they say that the level of glucose has increased, the last statement here must be the level of glucose must decrease. So it means that now you have 3 marks. You have that mark, you have that mark, and you have that mark. So now we are looking for this mark and this mark. We need to know the gland and what is the function of that gland. We need to know the gland which controls the thyroxine levels and what is the function of that gland. How does it control? So basically the function, the gland is the pituitary gland. Why do we say pituitary gland? So because pituitary gland will produce thyroxine. But now we have level of thyroxine increases. The level of thyroxine increases. If the level of thyroxine increases, what is going to happen? If the level of thyroxine increases, yes, if the level of thyroxine increases, it means that I will need less thyroxine. So it means that, remember this is TSH, thyroid stimulating hormone. The thyroid gland, let's go back here. This gland, remember the function of this gland is to produce thyroxine. Now, when I have TSH, the thyroid stimulating hormone, this hormone, TSH, will stimulate this thyroid gland to produce more thyroxine. Thyroid stimulating hormone. But now I want less thyroxine. What is this TSH going to do? I'm going to have to reduce the amount of TSH I produce. So that now the thyroid gland produces less thyroxine. And if less thyroxine has been produced, it means that the level of thyroxine goes back to normal. Let's go back here. So here we are saying that, if the level of thyroxine is too much in the blood, the pituitary gland will produce or release less thyroxine. So I have less thyroxine, yes. It means that now the thyroid gland will release less thyroxine because the thyroid stimulating hormone has been released less. So it means that the thyroid gland is going to be stimulated less. If the thyroid gland is stimulated less, it means that now the amount of thyroxine produced is going to be less. And then now the thyroxine level will decrease and then it goes back to normal. That is it. Hey? is simple, but it requires some simple reasoning. But as we see different questions, we will be able to understand it better. And I'll keep emphasizing. Guys, can I tell you something? Last time I told the people that, hey guys, they're going to bring this, and then people are not reading it, and then they brought it. After the paper, people say, hey, sir, you see, I'll remind you. Guys, please don't go to the paper without knowing this, ne? Okay, we go to the next thing. Yeah. So what happens if the level of thyroxine has decreased? It's the same story. The last point must be the level of thyroxine increases. So I have this point and I have this point. If I want, because the level of thyroxine has decreased, so it means that I will need more thyroxine in the body. So the pituitary gland will secrete more thyroid stimulating hormone. Have more thyroid stimulating hormone, it means that now the thyroid gland is going to be stimulated more. Do what? To produce more thyroxine. If more thyroxine has been produced, it means that now the thyroxine level in the blood will increase, and then it goes back to normal. So it's the same thing. All the negativity. Now, all this subtopic is all about that. The moment you know this and you know the function, the remaining things is only this. Is only this. Is only that. So if you overwork the thyroid gland, we call it hypothyroidism. If like you are overworking it, it is producing too much hormone. Yes, we call it hyperthyroidism. And then if you you are not, it is not making enough. So we call it hypo. Hypo means low. Hyper means high. Hyperthyroidism. It's too much. Yes. And then this will lead to some of these characteristics, and then you will also suffer from goiter. And this is basically as a result of the deficiency of iodine in the body. Yeah, that's why we tell you that when you're eating the salt, eat the salt called iodized salt. Iodized salt. Yes. Hypothyroidism means that you are producing less. And then in most cases, you suffer from what called myxedema. Yes, you suffer from this. Yeah. So you see, you have ever seen people who are suffering from this? You have ever seen people who are like this? Please don't confuse this with diabetes. Ne? Yeah, because there is time when it's about diabetes. Remember, we have two types of diabetes. We only teach one. We have diabetes mellitus, that is the sugar diabetes, and diabetes insipidus, that is the water diabetes. Yes, which is linked to odema. Odema, that is the water diabetes. All right. So basically, that's what you need to know. You need to know about goiter, the goiter, the goiter. Yeah, you call it goiter. Yeah. How do you read it? You know, we read this at so ne Gauteng ne goiter. Okay. All right. So we are done with that. Homeostasis. Meaning that we're going to only talk about the same stories, keeping internal environment constant, keeping the process of maintaining a constant internal environment. Yes. Why do we keep it constant? So that there is effective functioning of the organs. If it's too much, is a problem. If it's too low, is also another problem. All right. Let's just look at glucose. It's the same story. Let's apply what we studied in the previous. Glucose level increase, the last statement, glucose level must decrease. You ask yourself, which gland is responsible? Which hormones are responsible for glucose regulation? We say this insulin, and then glucagon, isn't it? Two hormones. So now I need to know, if I have too much glucose in the body, what is the next step? So you need to know this thing. This. If I have too much glucose in the body, yes, glucose is going to be converted into glycogen by the help of insulin. If I have less glucose in the body, so the glycogen is going to be converted back to glucose by the help of glucagon. Now I ask myself, Where are these hormones produced from? We said they're produced from the pancreas. That's why I told you that diagram, you need to know each hormone, where is located, what does it produce? What's the function? Once you know that, now this topic is simple. So now we come back. The level of glucose in the body increase. So what do I need to do? I need to decrease it, the end. That's why at the end here, we say that glucose level decrease. Okay. Now, if the glucose level decrease, how am I going to decrease it? I have, which hormone should I include there? Which gland do I include? Remember, you need to know the gland and the hormone. That's it. You need to know the gland. Obviously, the gland will produce that hormone, and you need to know the function of that hormone. Then the process is done. So glucose level increase, the pancreas will secrete insulin. The insulin will stimulate the liver to convert glucose into glycogen. And then obviously, if glucose is converted into glycogen, then the glucose level will go back to normal. Simple. And then now, if the glucose level is too much, I need to make, if the glucose level is too low, I need to make sure that the glucose level increases back to normal. I've not eaten. So what do? The pancreas will secrete glucagon. Now the glucagon is going to stimulate the conversion of glucose into glycogen into glucose. You see, glycogen is converted into glucose. And then now the level of glucose is going to increase and then it goes back to normal. You see, guys, that you only need to know points in actual sense. Only 2 points for each negative feedback mechanism. Only 2 points, which gland and which hormone. The rest, they will flow. This is the opposite of this. If you memorize this, is the opposite of this. Simple. But you find people are suffering with this. Yeah, I know that if it is your first time, it might be difficult, but you keep repeating. Practice different questions. Yes, this is the only topic students we don't want to hear about. And if you don't want to hear about it, do you think it wants to hear about you? What is the next step? Fail. So please, guys, yeah, I'll tell you, let me first focus on everything, but I'll tell you what to focus more on. You have to know everything. So, what happens if your pancreas cannot produce enough insulin or glucagon? You're going to suffer from what you call diabetes. Don't just say diabetes. You say diabetes mellitus. Diabetes mellitus. Diabetes mellitus. Mellitus. Don't say sugar diabetes. We'll give you a 0 with the eyes. Diabetes mellitus. Diabetes mellitus. I think I'm clear there. Dokozo, are you in class? Dokozo. 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 You put your phone there and then you left my class, ne? Dokozo. Oh. Tegan. Tegan, can you unmute and I hear from you?
Yes,
Tegan.
I'm right here.
Good. Ntokozo. Ntokozo. Hey, do you see? Nia. Do I pronounce it properly? Nia. Are you there? Nia, are you there? Okay, unmute. Okay, it shows that you're in class. Amara, are you there? Amara, where are you? Amara. Okay, good. All right. Since okay, I'll keep checking. Michelle, lastly, Michelle, are you there? Michelle. Michelle is not in class. Let me check. Michelle is not in class. Michelle is not in class. It's just joined and put the phone there and then relaxed. Michelle. Okay, guys, let's continue. Oh, Ntokozo is saying that I can't unmute. All right, okay. So we call it, what is the problem with diabetes? Is when the pancreas cannot produce enough insulin, or is when the pancreas not produce at all. Failure of the pancreas to produce insulin, or the insulin can be produced but less. So it depends on whether it's diabetes type 1 or diabetes type 2. But we don't usually bring this diabetes type 1 and diabetes type. No, we ask you, is when the pancreas fails to produce enough insulin, or I cannot produce insulin, how do we call that? It is diabetes mellitus. Don't say sugar diabetes, don't say diabetes. You have to complete that statement and say that diabetes mellitus. So that is done. Here is the question. Here is the question which is linked to diabetes. They're saying that, okay, name the organ. Okay, guys, unmute and then we see if we can answer it together. Unmute, and then we see, because we have 10 minutes now. Which organ is
9.
one?
We
Look
have
at
9 minutes.
So which organ is one?
It's the pancreas.
It's the pancreas. Which hormone is 2? Okay, let's analyze it. Let's analyze it. This is high level of glucose in the blood. High level of glucose in the blood. Now the pancreas is going to produce hormone 2. You understand? Then it goes to the liver. So meaning that either the liver is going to, you see these dotted lines? At the end, you see, the level of glucose is going to decrease. So which hormones helps in the decrease in the amount of glucose in the blood?
Insulin.
So it means that hormone 2 is insulin.
Insulin.
Why? Yeah. Once it is produced, it's going to stimulate the liver to convert glucose, too much glucose, into glycogen. And then now the level of glucose is going to decrease, and then the blood glucose level goes back to normal.
Below.
Yes. And then if you look at this one, now low level of glucose. So now hormone 3 is being released. And then once it's released, it's going to cause the liver increase the blood glucose level. You see, it increases. Meaning that this hormone 3 is
Glucagon.
glucagon. Correct. The disorder caused by when gland 1 fails to release sufficient amount of glucose. How do you call that?
Isn't it diabetes?
Diabetes.
Mellitus.
Mellitus. Yes. Please don't just stop on diabetes. It's diabetes mellitus. Yes, thank you so much. Mellitus.
Okay.
And they are saying that the mechanism that control the level of glucose in the body.
It's
So please,
negative feedback mechanism.
Correct. Negative feedback mechanism. It's negative feedback mechanism. Someone is saying, they're saying that, sir.
It's
someone was saying pancreas. Which pancreas is that? I don't know what is the pancreas. All right. I was saying about the organ. Organ 1. Yes, organ 1 is the pancreas. Thank you so much. So, guys, you see that all of them is the same story. You see, all of them. The only one which is different is this. This. Now, who is that? Guys, mute, and then we finish up. This one is different from any other. This one is what? Is different from any other. Amara is saying that if I have a digital copy of this book, unfortunately, we don't give digital copies unless a school buys it. Yes. Yeah, these are books. These are books which are being sold in the bookshops. Ne? Yes. All right. All right. They're saying that oh, you can access it from our YouTube channel, Thundereduc, and then say join. Yes, you'll be able to get a digital copy of the whole book. Yes. They're saying that regulates the carbon dioxide level. Carbon dioxide level. So how do we the negative feedback mechanism of carbon dioxide? This one, because carbon dioxide, we don't want it in the body. We don't want it. It cannot say that no normal level of carbon dioxide. We don't want it. That's why it only has one way. It doesn't have the second way. We don't want it. So the negative feedback mechanism is to eliminate carbon dioxide from the body. It's the only negative feedback mechanism which is different from any other negative feedback mechanism. So it's the only one which you have to memorize differently. So what happens is the stimulus, meaning that the amount of carbon dioxide in the body. If the amount of carbon dioxide in the blood increase, so what happens? This will lead to the decrease in the pH and the decrease in oxygen. Why is the pH decreasing? Because carbon dioxide, please don't take this one because I'm just explaining it. Ne? Carbon dioxide will react with H2O and then it forms what you call carbonic acid. You see, if it is an acid, it means that the pH is low. That's why you're saying that the pH decreases. When there is too much carbon dioxide in the body, the pH will decrease. So that's the meaning. Now the receptors for low pH will detect. That is the chemoreceptor. Will detect that low pH. And the moment the low pH is detected, yes, the impulse is going to be sent to the medulla oblongata. Medulla oblongata. Remember, medulla oblongata is responsible for involuntary actions. Involuntary actions. You understand? Like the heartbeat, the breathing, you understand? So the impulse is going to be sent to the medulla oblongata. What is the medulla oblongata going to do? The respiratory muscles, that's the diaphragm and the intercostal muscles, just even if you said the respiratory muscles, yes, they will start to contract and relax too much, meaning that the heart rate, the rate at which you are the rate at which you are breathing and the depth will increase. Let me explain to you. When you breathe like this, that is speed. But if you increase like this, meaning that the depth of taking the air and the rate both increase. You are not only increasing the speed at which you are breathing, but you also increase the depth of the what? Of the breathing. And once that is done, also the heart muscles will contract. And then it means that contract and relax too much, meaning that you increase the heart rate. The heartbeat will also increase so that now carbon dioxide is pumped out of the body. You see? Now, the heart rate increase and more carbon dioxide is removed from the body. And once more carbon dioxide is removed from the body, yes, what happens? The carbon dioxide level will fall. And then what happens? The pH will return to normal, meaning that now the receptor will detect so that, oh, now the pH has been returned to normal, maybe is a little bit of neutral, then it means that I don't need to send any impulse to medulla oblongata. And then the cycle continues like that. So this one is most likely that you will see it among all. It's most likely people are writing in June. It's most likely to see it in your paper. I'm saying most likely. Don't quote me wrong. Say that you're gonna say that, yeah, sir, you told us the bullet. They call it the bullet. Yes, Kutlano, what are you saying?
So I realized that on the timetable, we only have one life science paper. So are we writing one life science paper or is there paper 2 as well?
Okay, Kutlano, the people who are writing their finals, the people are going to write their finals in June, May, the 30th of May. They are writing their finals. They are writing paper 1 and paper 2. While the people who are not writing their finals in June, you understand? This is supposed to be covered before June, this topic. You understand? So the people are writing from Gauteng. They are writing one paper. It's gonna be from DNA. until the end of the year. If not, until the end of this topic. So it will depend on what they have confirmed. So it means that you have to read until here for this term. For those people who are writing in June, I'm talking about the people who are writing, not here, guys, not here, yeah, up to here. For those people who are writing their final exams in October, but the people who are writing in May, June, take note of that. Mess it up, you are messing up with your marks. So I think, guys, that is carbon dioxide. Water is the same story, and then salts is also the same story. Let me just use the 5 minutes so that when I come back, I will start with the skin, because the skin, I need also to drill it. Let me just use 5 minutes, and then I just conclude with this. Regulation of water in the body. How do I regulate? I need to know the hormone is ADH. Which gland? You see now, they're talking about pituitary gland, yet you have been talking about hypothalamus. So it's the same thing. So we can talk about pituitary gland, or we can talk about hypothalamus, depending on how have you phrased it. Hypothalamus produce this hormone and is being stored in the pituitary gland. So they can work concurrently, depending on the language you have used when you are explaining it. So we say that if this one is low level of water in the body, so the last point must be more water is going to be reabsorbed. So it means that the pituitary gland will secrete more ADH because we want to reabsorb more water. And then now the collecting duct of the nephron will make sure that more water is reabsorbed back to the blood. You understand? And then now less is gonna be lost. Less is gonna be what? It's gonna be lost. If less is gonna be lost, this is the time when you're going to urinate urine which is yellowish, meaning that you don't have enough water. More water has been reabsorbed back to the what? To the blood. And once more water has been reabsorbed back to the blood, the amount of water in the blood is gonna increase, and then it goes back to normal. If the amount of water is too much in the blood, meaning that I have to lose a lot so that I bring the level of water in the blood, meaning that now I'm going to produce less ADH. The nephron is going to become less permeable. It's going to become what? The permeability of the collecting duct and distal convolution is going to decrease, meaning that the nephron is going to become less permeable. If it's less permeable, it means that now less water is going to be reabsorbed and most of it is going to be lost into the urine. And this is the time when you urinate urine which is colorless. It means that you have enough water in the blood. That's it. And then lastly, I'll do a recap for the next class when I'm doing this for this maybe topic. If you have any challenge, you please let me know before I come to the next class, and so that I'm able to grill those problems before I go to the next topic. Yes. Lastly is aldosterone, salt. Aldosterone, salt, which means salt. So salt is being controlled by a gland called adrenal gland. So I know the adrenal gland. So what is the function of aldosterone? Is also to make the nephron to reabsorb more. So if I have decreased the level of salt, the last point is increase the level of salt. One. So now I know that the adrenal gland, what do I want? I want more salt. So it means that I'm going to produce more aldosterone. So that more aldosterone can make the nephron to absorb more. Absorb more what? Absorb more salt, and then the level of salts will increase and it goes back to normal. Guys, you see that all these negative feedback mechanism thing, as long as you know that diagram, which I say that the location of the gland, the function of the gland, the function of the hormone, the moment you know that, the rest are simple. The rest are simple. They're saying that Michelle was in class. Her Wi-Fi was giving up. Okay, all right. All right, guys. So you guys, you see that everything is in the same story. You just need to know normal. If it is increase here, the last point is decrease. Talk about the gland. Give me the function. Which hormone does the gland produce? Yes, once you know it, and then now tell me the function of that hormone, and then the thing will go back to normal. Simple, simple. All of them, all of them. So you guys, when you come back, make sure that you know all the location of the hormone and the function of the hormone. I think, guys, I'm going to stop here. When I come back, I will start from hot day, cold day, and then I will shoot to tropism, and then I will start evolution. Yes.
Bye.
Bye-bye, guys. Hey, guys, on Saturday, we don't have a class. On Saturday, we don't have a class. I'm going to be occupied, but I'll let you know. But on Monday, we will have. Yes, on Monday, we'll have. Thank you so much. See you again in the next class.
Okay, so
Ciao, ciao.
Bye.